So this comprises parts of homework to go with 8 and 9. When you do the scatter plot, you can stop and wait until you finish lecture 9 before you go on and do the part about averages. But here's what we need to make sure you understand. When you're doing the first 2 questions, which deal with scatter plots, I'm putting this out to make sure I don't miss any of it. It says, make sure you read the part that says that you only do certain parts, parts 1 and 4. That's all you do when you're doing the scatter plot. Otherwise, you click skip part and you click skip, and that will move you out of that region. And you don't have to do the computations because we're not studying how to find the R value or how to find the line of greatest fit. That's a statistics problem type of course that would do that. And it takes on a lot more work. It's interesting, but it's not going to work for a survey course like the one we're doing here, where we're learning the basics of probability and statistics, because it's far from the basics to make that line fit. But we are interested in scatter plots and how they can make things work. So here's a scatter plot data set. For question number 1, we're going to look at the data set and we're going to plot the points and see if it's a positive or negative correlation. Part 1 will have us looking to plot the points. Then part 2 is going to get into stuff we don't do, but we're going to look at 1. And here are the plots, the points that we have: 8, 10, 12, 7, 2, 15, 11, 6, 5, 13, and 19, 2. Okay, repeating one more time. Don't do the part about the R value. I didn't cover it in class. We're not covering it in the course, but I can't break the problem down into some of its components. So we have to weed our way through what we care about. Okay, so what we're looking at here is for the X's, they range from 2 at the bottom to 19 at the top. So I'm going to get this drawn up, but it'll already be there. Maybe it goes out to 20. Halfway will be 10. Here between is 5. Between those 2 is 15. Now we look at the Y's. 7, 6, 2 is the lowest. So it goes from 2, which is covered because it's all the way down to 0, and goes as high as 15. So we'll go 5, 10, 15. And you can look specifically at what it's trying to measure. But we're going to look at what these data points do. We have an 8, 10. Go to 8 and up to 10. Go over to 12 and up to 7. Past the 10, a little bit past the 10 and up to 7. Go to 2 with 15. So go to 2, but go all the way up to 15. 11 for X and 6 for Y. Go to the 11, which is not quite as far as the 12. I guess the 12 should be a little further over. But anyway, the 12 will be there. We got 11, 6. We go to 11. Instead of being up to the 7, we got 6. 5 and 13. We go to the 5 and go up to 13. And we have 19 with a 2. We go over to 19 and only up to 2. And now we would skip part 2, skip part 3. And then we would come to the part where number 4 says, is this positive, negative, or no correlation? And we see that that has a tendency when one number goes up, the other goes down, and the flow is downhill. That's going to go as a negative correlation. You'll also see one as a positive correlation. Does this tend to have any outliers? It looks like no. We need a lot more values to cluster on the line and see something that stood way out to the side. But that's what our work on correlation does. It'll have us plotting points and seeing if we have the correlation. So I want you to remember that we're skipping part 2. We're going to hit skip part. And I'm going to go up here and we're going to click on the skip button. And it'll put us into part 3, where we'll do that again. And then on 5 and 6, we're going to be able to skip part. And skip. And just get through the portions that I want you to get to, where you're getting to plot the points, get them properly situated, so it'll say, yes, good job plotting it, or make you plot a different set again, and see if it's positive or negative. So we get a lot of work in on correlation that way, just trying to get a sense of how do the data points line up, not exactly in a line, but how do they form this pattern. And that'll be what we deal with on our scatter plots. So then you have more of a concept of how I can determine what this data is trying to say as a group of data points, not looking at just one incident. And now I want to take these data points here, and I want to look at the values for different averages for it. Take the data points here that are 47. I took this from number 2, so it's going to be similar to your own values for number 2. 47, 50, 95, 76, 30, 19, 81, 90, 33, 76. This might be how many phone calls some people made in a 3-hour shift or something like that. Anyway, we've got the values. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 values. And if we add up the values, we're going to see that we get the mean comes from adding up the values, which you can go ahead and do that on your calculator. You'll see that it gets 597 for the total of those to divide by 10, and the mean comes out to be 59.7. So we've got our mean. B will ask you for the median. Now to get the median, we need these values in numerical order. Now honestly, to get the median, you only have to go halfway up the list, sorting it out. We might as well do the whole list all the way out. And we'll see the numbers here: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. And I find it's helpful to put my values under other values to make sure I get all of them. If I miss one, usually I have someone in the class say, wait, you're missing one, because with 20 sets of eyes on it, we got a good chance of catching any mistake I make. But as I'm looking through, the lowest one I see is a 19 and a 30, so I'm going to take the 19 and the 30, and I give a little bit of time for someone to shout, but I could wait forever, and I'm not going to hear you through the internet. But anyway, I got 19 and 30, and then there's the 33. Okay, looking for things in the 40s, I find a 47 only, and that's my fourth value. 50s, I got a straight 50, and that's it. Now I look for 60s, and I see none. So I hit to the 70s, where I get a 76 twice. And so I wrote it twice because it occurred twice, and I'm looking for anything else in the 70s. Seeing none, I get an 81 and a 90, and I think I missed something. Oh no, I didn't. I got an 81 and a 90 and a 95. Now n is equal to 10, so n plus 1 all over 2 is 11 over 2, gets me position 5.5. It's between the 5 and the 6, so now I wind up finding my median is going to take this 50 and 76 and get there. If you want to call it mid-range of the two, you can. If you want to call it the average of the two, you can. 126 over 2, 63. I've now found the median. I thought I could find the median without going all the way up the list, because if I knew I needed to get to 5.5, if I put them in order and I got to the sixth one, these are the two that I'm going to take the mean of, and I could get that. And the stuff that happens beyond that doesn't really impact my median right in this setting. But that's fine. And now the mid-range, thanks for that being in order, but all I would need for the mid-range is that the low value is 19 and the high value is 95. So I'll take 19 plus 95 and divide by 2. So that's 114 and divided by 2, and that's going to get me 57. And what's the mode? Well, looking at the ordered list will help with that, because nothing shows up twice until I get to the 76. And that's the only one that shows up more than once. So I'll get 76 for my mode. And you'll be able to do each of the homework problems like that with different size values and different lengths of lists to get through, but the process is the same. So you do the few problems that are there in the homework, and you'll be able to find these different types of averages for the data values that we've got. I guess I should letter up the other ones, right? B, and also, no, putting it in order wasn't A. A was to find the mean, B was to find the median, C was to find the mid-range, and D was to find the mode. I'll be able to do that. What about if you have the graphic calculator? Can you put this value in, these values in? You're going to enter them exactly the way you see them. So I might go in, and I don't want to kill off my old data that I've used previously, so I'll use another data set. I'll turn this on, I'll go to stats, and maybe I still want to keep my old list 1 around, so I'll go to edit, and I'll jump over to list 2, and if it's got anything in it, I'll go up onto the name of the list, and I'll say clear. Don't hit delete, that will remove the list, but clear will clear out all the data. And now you can put them in as they show up: 47, 50, 95, 76, enter 30 and 19, enter 19, enter enter, 8190, enter, 33 and 76. Since I think I've put in 10 values, it should be calling for value 11 next up. It's ready to grab number 11 if I have it, but if I don't give it anything more, it'll work on the 10 of them. So now I'll go to stat, and I'll go to calculate. I'll do one variable statistics. Now I want to go to list 2, so I make sure that when I'm on the list choice, because I've put those in list 2, I'm going to hit the blue second key and go for blue letters L2, which is going to put me at list 2, and now I'll be able to proceed through and do the calculations. Where it's got the mean at 59.7 and the total at 597, and it does have 10 as my value for n. If I scroll down, the minimum is 19, which I used in the mid-range. The max is coming up later. The median shows up at 63 for me, and the max is 95. So I'm able to use, it does not determine for me the mid-range. It thinks I can take the two numbers it gave me for the mid-range and add 19 and 95 to divide by 2, but it gives me the two core values even if the list gets really long. The median was found for me, and it doesn't actually tell me what the mode is. So how am I going to find the mode? Especially if I have a long list and I want to be able to see what clusters together when they're sorted. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to statistics, hit the stat button, and go down to number 2 in edit, which says sort A. Click the button, tell it what list you want to do. I want to do list 2 because that's where my data is right now, and I want to sort it, and it says done. So now when I go back to the list, if I go into stat, it's going to have sorted the list. If you click on edit, you can now get a peek at the list, and it's in order. It's now become an ordered list, and you can see my blue list, and I'll read it to you here, and it says 19, 30, 33, 47, 50, 76, another 76, 81, 90, and 95. And it gave me that list, but now this is in order. And now as I look through, I can see the only occurrence of a double value is the 76, and there's my mode. So I've gotten that available to me as well. So this can do it, especially as the lists get longer, or if you typed one in wrong. If you typed it in wrong with your mean and you're doing it by hand or on the calculator that doesn't store the data, you either have to know which one you got wrong and how you got it wrong to take it out and put the right value in, or you have to start all over again. You do have the option, if you add another value, to add to the total the new value and add 1 to the count of 10 to 11. But all you would do on this, if another value came along, let's say that a value of 120 came along, you would be able to go right where the 95 is at the bottom, looking for list 2, item number 11, put 120 in, and I'll enter it, and now I could go in and do stat and have it run those calculations. And the calculation values will all change thanks to, well, most of them will change thanks to what I've gotten in here with the new amounts, and they've gone up because I put the 120 in there. And the same thing could happen with the golf scores that we looked at earlier. So that's how we're going to be able to find the center of our data set, looking at averages. So that'll do it for homework 8 and 9 with the golf scores that we looked at earlier. So that's how we're going to be able to find the center of our data set, looking at averages. So that'll do it for homework 8 and 9. You'll be able to do that as a combined homework as it comes up for you. Good luck. Oh, and we're done for tonight. Good time on that, but I think it wasn't pretty much.
You got
15.
13.